Good evening, everyone. This is Pradeep Mal, Ambassador of Change from GETI, the Global Education and Training Institute of Lucknow. We are the premier institute in India for training principals and teachers, and we have many in-service and pre-service programs. And for more information on this, please go to 740-840-1000. Right now, you are on our disruptive education platform provided to us by our mentor, Dr. Sunita Gandhi. On this platform, we have interacted with more than 1,300 educators from India and all over the world. And this evening, we have for you Lieutenant Colonel Venkat Raman. He's a visiting faculty at St. Francis Institute of Management, Mumbai, Maharashtra. He has excellent communication and administrative skills. He is an MBA and has 25 years of experience as an Army officer in the Corps of Engineers and another 7 years in highly reputed organizations. He enjoys management studies. He has also an MPhil in management he's a Bachelor of Technology in Civil Engineering from the College of Military Engineering, Pune. He has a master's in psychology from the University of Madras. He can tutor engineering and management students as well as cooperates in his fields of expertise. And his interests and hobbies are reading fiction and non-fiction books. He said he's a voracious reader, keeps abreast with current affairs, and is a good debater ever since his school days. Keenly interested in social work and has participated in social activities for CRY, and ZTCC, and participated in their campaigns, including running in the Mumbai Marathon for 4 years. He will be speaking to us today, learnings from my life in the army. It's bound to be very interesting. So, Lieutenant Colonel Saab, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Pradeep Mal. Sir, I'm really grateful for the wonderful introduction you've given me. And it is indeed my privilege to do this session for GETI at Lucknow. I've seen the website and I'm quite impressed by the work that you all have done. So certainly, I would want to interact with the people at large on behalf of GETI and talk about my experiences in the armed forces. What I really intend to share here is not just my experiences, but it's more about the values that I learned in the armed forces, and with special mention to the teachers who are the primary, I would say, the people who really build up the character of tomorrow, of the citizens of tomorrow. So it is certainly on a huge responsibility on the teachers to mold the students. And unfortunately, for whatever reasons, I have seen a slight change, I would say. I won't call it a drop. I would call it a change in the value systems of the current generation, as opposed to what we learned in our childhood. So certainly there is a shift and change, as they say, nothing is permanent except change. But still, I I go by, or rather, I swear by, you can say, whatever I have learned in the armed forces, whatever training I have undergone. I consider it my proud privilege to have been in the armed forces. Currently, I'm very happy, leading a very happy retired life. But certainly, whatever I went through is something that transformed me. And I'll begin at the beginning. So, what are these lessons, and why am I sharing it with you? So, the first lesson is about discipline. Obviously, if we are talking to 4Gs, then the first thing that they really want to talk about is discipline. So, I'm not really going to tell you all about, you know, the drill, the PT. Of course, that was part of the training and the building up of the people, of the cadets into officers. Savdhan, Vishram, Tez Chal, all that was there. But it is that inner self control that I'm going to talk to you all about. And why do I tell you that? Because you see, When we were trained, we felt very bad about it. Believe me, in the sense it was tough. It was terribly tough. I can give you an example. The first day in the National Defense Academy. Yes, I am an alumnus of the NDA Khadakwasla, and I'm really, really happy to say that. I was in Foxtrot Squadron 60th, 60th NDA and 70th regular. So my first day in NDA was it stands out like almost like yesterday. It's more than 40 years, but I can still remember it. So we were about 40 of us packed into a, not packed into, or boarded into a beautiful AC bus, a green bus that came, the military green, the olive green that came to Pune railway station to pick us up. This was at around 5 o'clock in the evening. I just got down from the train, and there were buses, I think, all day. There was a reception at the Pune railway station. They took my particulars. They saw the letter that I received from the NDA, and they were then sure that I was the right guy. So they told me to get onto the bus. And after a very beautiful journey, as soon as you leave, if you're conversant with Pune, the moment you leave there's a place called uh, not Khandwa. Yeah, Khandwa is there, and there's another Pashan gate is there. So the moment you enter Pashan, the entire surroundings change and it becomes absolutely green and hilly. So we thought we were going to some kind of hill station, and then we reached the academy, and the academy is marvelous. It's like a Shangri-La, literally, in the middle of nowhere. It's got a huge Sudan block, a science block, and well, you must go there to see it someday. Uh, so of course, when we got down from the bus, we were taken to our squadrons, and there were already people who had uh, come earlier during the day. And after a little bit of documentation there at the squadron, a squadron is the place where we're going to live for the next 3 years. So it comprises of a huge building of about 3 floors, and in each floor there are about 20 rooms. So that's about 60 rooms in the entire building, and 60 or more, a little more than that. So whatever. Then after the documentation, we were taken to a place. So that place was the barber's shop. Now you'll wonder what happened. Here we were, all youngsters, 17, 18-year-olds. No, in fact, yeah, around 17, 18. And full of jokes, full of, expectations. कि आगे क्या होगा? And of course, also with lovely hair, like all the young heroes of today. And then we were taking the barber shop. We were a little surprised. क्या हो गया? Then we thought, हाँ ठीक है, फौजी है तो haircut होगा. But then we were not prepared for what happened. And when we came out of the barber's shop, or rather had a look at the mirror after the barber was done, after the haircut was done, what we saw in front of us brought tears to the eyes of almost everyone, because we had just about half an inch of hair on our heads. Okay, just half an inch. So that was the transformation. Day one, we were told, guys, leave your past behind. Today, you're a cadet. You're all equal, absolutely equal. And what you're going to have, what is going to happen tomorrow is this is just a trailer of that. Certainly, it was a trailer, and that moment it hit us that this is different. Okay, and the discipline again I'm talking to you about was in many ways, I would say, enforced upon us, because we were young, we were moldable at that age, and that is why it is important for one to be molded as early as possible uh, in life. And that is the importance of kindergarten, because the first 6 years are the most impressionable in our lives. So what kind of training, what kind of discipline? The first, yeah, let me just show you the slide. It's about self control. What is discipline after all? It is self control. You want to do so many things. Right now, maybe I want to go to the beach, I want to go to Goa, I want to swim in my swimming trunks, I want to see a movie. Maybe I just want to laze There are 150 things. But why am I doing this? Why am I sitting here and talking to all of you? Because there is a purpose. I feel that whatever I'm sharing with you, even if that impacts you, maybe 10%, maybe 5%, maybe 1% it transforms. I think my drop in the ocean is worth it. So there is a purpose and there is a concerted effort. Okay, so that's about self-control. You want to do many things, but then there is something that you should be doing. So life in the NDA is pretty tough, like I told you. One of the things was cabin cupboard. It's a beautiful, beautiful word, cabin cupboard, but it still sends shivers down my spine. Okay, so what is cabin cupboard? We are given cabins, individual cabins. Now you say, wow, you guys are living royally. Yes, we were living royally. We had a room of about, let's say, about 20 feet by 30 feet max, not more than that. Yeah, 10 meters by less than 10 meters. That there was place for a huge box to be kept under the bed. There was a bed, of course, regular size. There was a table, study table, and there was a almirah to keep your clothes and your other stuff. That's it. That was our room. Okay, very very minimal, very very frugal. And in that room we had to keep all our stuff. We could not keep any private stuff. We were not allowed to keep our fancy clothes, fancy shoes, nothing. Only what was issued to us. The academy issued us everything. कपड़े पहनने के लिए, जूते पहनने के लिए, the uniform, then the books, the even the blanket, everything, the entire bed. I mean, if I had come with my hands in my pockets to the NDA, I could have still, lived comfortably with nothing. And all, then you will wonder, where did you keep all your stuff which you brought with you? Half of it I threw away because I never used it in those 3 years, and the other half, it was in my box for the next 3 years. Because even to go to town on Sundays, it was called Liberty, we had to use something called the mufti. That was our civil dress that was issued to us. So everything was issued to us. There were 7 pairs of dresses issued to us. There was a winter mess dress, there was a summer mess dress, there was a walking out, there was a study khakis, there was a drill khakis. So we used to just keep changing and changing and changing. So what was the cabin cupboard all about? Now everything kept in the cabin had to be kept in a particular place and in a particular manner. Now you won't believe this. We were issued shorts, half pant for PT, and those shorts had to be folded in a certain manner. The edges had to be kept at a certain, that means size, which could be seen. So it was actually 2 inches by 8 inches, I still remember. And it used to be kept with a cardboard. So you could only see the 2 inches by 8 inches of the shorts, nothing else. That is how we used to keep our shorts. Okay, so this is just one example. And that is how we had to keep all our dresses. We had to keep whatever we were wearing, just 2 hangers were allowed. The rest had to be folded and kept inside neatly. And when I say neatly, I mean neatly. Okay, and the worst part of it was that the officer could come any time of the day, and generally he would come in the evening when we were having a study time between 7 and 8 p.m. He would come unannounced. Obviously, he's the officer. Just barge into our room and say, "Hey, Venkat, let me take a look at your room." And he would go around, and if the clothes were not properly arranged, he would just pull them out and throw them on the ground. Then what he would do, his favorite trick was that he would go under the almirah and put his fingers there and come out with a lot of dust and then put the dust on my face. Beautiful. So this is the way we learned that we had to keep our stuff in the right manner. I know it may sound a little tough, but in the army they say that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. That's how you become tough. There's only one way that you can learn, and that is the hard way. And this is what has really transformed us. Then the kit master, which was even worse. Now, what was the kit master? kit master was that all our kit, including our blanket, our bed sheets, our mess tin, our small pack, our big pack, our water bottle, everything, our riding dress, our putties, there were almost about 80 items. Okay, all the 80 items in our room, everything had to be packed up and arranged outside our room in a particular manner. Everything, your room had to be bare. Yeah, Kitmaster is readiness for war. It's as if you're going to just move out for action and be loaded on a truck. So you better get everything packed up. That was done many times during the course of our academy training, almost once in a week. Okay, and we used to dread it because it wasn't just putting things out, it was putting them back again. Remember that. And then we could not afford to miss the deadlines that we had. If there was 4 o'clock uh, uh, games, we had to be there for games. We had to fly. Okay, so literally for the first few days in the academy, we didn't know din hai ki raat hai. Literally, it was like that. And then slowly, of course, we the body, I would say, patiently bears everything and learns to adjust itself. So we learned it the hard way. This is what I'm trying to say. And the importance of discipline is that even today, we remember this. Even today, we understand the importance of discipline, and we do try to lead a very disciplined life as far as we can. I mean, even today, when I teach my students in college, if I tell them the class is at 9:30, it's 9:30. It's not 9:31. Okay, that's how it is. And I would like to just mention here that Mr. Mal, who had introduced me just now, he had reminded me, and he was there almost 20 minutes or even more before today's session started. I really say hats off. He would have made a very good service officer. Okay, then we have something called dinner nights. What is the dinner night? Now, the NDA mess is one of the largest messes in the world for training cadets. I think it can house up to more than 2,000 people at a time. It can give dinner at one time to more than 2,000 people. And there were several dignitaries who used to come, presidents of countries, prime ministers of countries. And when they came, we had to have dinner with them. And therefore, we had to know how to sit down and eat, the so called mess etiquettes. We had to learn them and do them, practice them very well. We had to obviously be masters at eating with a fork and a knife, and we definitely had to know how to, cross the knife. That means open our plate and close our plates, everything. And we had to see only when the guest starts, then you can start, and before the guest finishes, you've got to finish. It's like that. So these are some of the I would say, written rules. We learned lots of them, lots of, and we learned, most important, where to keep our eyes and ears open and how to keep our mouths shut. We learned that too. So that is the importance of discipline that I wanted to just tell you. Now, certainly, you can, uh, you know, tell us about a routine if at all you want to interact, but you can also ruminate whether you have a routine, whether you follow it strictly, and whether you feel its advantages. I'm sure you would. So your action points for this are that you must look at your final goals, and you must work towards them. You must have focus. You must also learn from others' success stories. And most important, you must understand the importance of self-esteem. Why do we have discipline? Why do we act in a certain way? Why aren't we laid back? Why don't we do whatever we want to do? It's because we have self-esteem. Self-control is all about self-esteem.
Sir,
I
sir,
Yeah.
may I interrupt you? Your PPT is not moving, sir.
Okay.
Just
One sec.
go
One
with the
sec.
mouse and click on that particular thing. Yeah, okay, it's moving now. Importance of discipline, self-control. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, so those I was just talking about all this right now: the life in the NDA, the cabin cupboard, the kit master, the dinner nights, the activity, and the action points. So I think I've covered the slide. Now I just need to go to the next slide. Let me know if you can see the next. Yeah. I hope you can see the next slide as well.
Visible, sir. Visible. Visible.
Good. So how much time do I have? Hello. Okay.
Entirely up to you,
So
sir.
I wanted to know how much more time I have.
Entirely up to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So respecting time for success is the next important lesson that I learned in the army. Right from day one, right from the first aspect or activity of training, which was PT, physical training, which was at 6 in the morning. And 6 in the morning means 6. Our ustads used to be there at 5:45 in the morning. And we had to also be there at 5:45 because there would be a roll call taken. So we had to get up at around 4:30, do our stuff, get ready, and go to the PT fields. And if we were late, then there was again a lot of punishments. I don't want to be really talking about the kind of punishments. They were all quite tough. Okay, that's in short. Then immediately we had to, after 1 hour of PT, you become dirty and full of mud and full of sweat. We had a quick shower. We had a quick change into our drill KDs, khaki drills, and then we literally ran to the drill square, and we had to do all this in 15 minutes because 7 a.m. our report would be taken in the drill square, and the distance from the PT fields to the drill square was almost a kilometer. So we had to wash, change, and come to the drill square in 15 minutes. Not easy, believe me. Then every time there was any activity like games, like dinner, like study time, right from throughout the day, we used to have something called fallens. That means fall in line, and that fall in line would be obviously taken at a particular time. So if game was at 4 o'clock, your fallen would be at 3:45. I think I spent um, on an average of an hour in fallens every day of my life in the academy. So if you count 365 into 3, that's more than 1,000 days. So more than 1,000 days I've just been standing in fallens. 1,000 hours I've been standing in fallens. Imagine. Then, even during inspection, it was very important for us to be on time. The importance of time was stressed for every activity. And why is that so? Because time is of essence. If we are not in time for the attack, then the enemy would attack us. It's as simple as that. If we are not in time to face the enemy, we again are run over. If the armor doesn't break out at 4 o'clock in the morning before first light, we don't get to the enemy. So the importance of time was stressed right from day one. And we knew that every minute is precious and every day has 86,400 seconds. And these are never going to come again in our lives. Okay, please remember that. In camps and exercises, every time the importance of time was stressed on us. So we learned again that every second is important. And I still remember one day that when we had to wait for one of our team members to fetch up, and because of that, one member we lost the trophy. Okay, we were coming first in the camp exercise, and just because one person didn't report on time, we lost the trophy. So that is the importance of time. Ask the Olympic runner the importance of 1/50th of a second. He will tell you, he or she. So time certainly is important and not to be wasted. That was taught to us. So a small activity again for you people: write down the entire schedule for a day, starting from morning till you go to sleep. What you do, what time you take for each activity, and see how you can improve and prioritize. This is a to-do activity for you people. You have to do it yourself. Okay, and certainly it's going to improve you at the end of the day. So what are the action points? Time lost will never come back. Please remember this. You may think that, I have all the time in the world, but every day gone is a day wasted unless it's spent wisely. Quit the urge to procrastinate. Don't keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. And most important, when you are on time, you respect the other person's time. That is the most important thing. Okay? Then, can you see this now? Yeah, so it's being well turned out. Okay? The importance of
So carry
grooming.
on, it's all visible.
Thank you. So, being well turned out is very, very important in our life, because it actually builds your self-esteem again. When you are well dressed, it improves your confidence and also improves the other person's confidence in you. The other, just imagine if I were to come and sit here in a disheveled state, without combing my hair, without shaving uh, having a shave, without washing my face, and in a shirt that was torn. What would you think of me? Hey, who's this clown who's coming here to address us? He calls himself an officer. So, certainly, we, we need to establish some standards in our life. And the only way we can do that is because, first impression is lasting impressions. So, maybe clothes don't make a man, but say they certainly improve his bearing, his or her bearing, and impression on others. And that matters a great deal today. Nobody's asking you to, spend tons and tons of money on manicure and pedicure and all that. Just keep yourself clean and smart. I think that's enough. You don't need to wear very expensive shirts and pants, but they need to be pressed. That's it. So, what did we learn as far as grooming was concerned? I'll give you a story about the drill square test. The drill square test is a test taken of drill movements as well as your turnout. That means your dress in the drill square. And it's a very important test, because unless you pass that test, you can't go to town on liberty. So we were all, somehow we had to pass it. But it was very tough to pass it. We had 3 or 4 attempts before we really cleared it. So what was the tough part of it? The ustads were really, really, very tough characters, and they were terrible people. Believe me. So they were all trainers in the academy. They were, they had very, very high standards. So I'll give you one small story. When I went for a drill square test, my formation sign, there's something called a formation sign, the National Defense Academy formation. It's stitched onto your shirt with the help of stitch buttons. I'm sure you understand that. But they are to be placed in such a way that it's absolutely straight. You can't put it this way, you can't put it this way. Not an inch this side, not an inch that side. It has to be at the right place. So unfortunately, during one of the drill square tests, my formation sign was a bit tear down. It was crooked. So the ustad came, the instructor came, he started checking my dress. The moment he saw the formation sign was crooked, he just gave me a look. He cut all of my formation sign. And let me tell you, it's not just the stitch buttons. We also put a pin underneath so that it doesn't fall. And he knew it, that I would have put a pin as well. So what did he do? He just caught hold of my formation sign and ripped it out. And the shirt tore. Okay? So I had to buy a new shirt for my next day. So simple. Somehow I went to the shop, paid for it. I had, thankfully, a little bit of pocket money which my parents sent me, and I could buy the shirt. Of course, I had to forego my weekly gulab jamuns for the entire week. That's how life is. You learn it the hard way. Competitions in the unit after they became officers were the same thing, and there they were much tougher, because there you as an officer are representing the entire company. You're leading the company, and your turnout has to be better than that of a soldier. Please understand that. So the bar is again raised here, because we've got to check our Jawan's turnout. So unless our turnout is better than his, how do we check it? The third point about grooming, inspections and visits by dignitaries. Almost every week or every third day, some dignitary used to visit the unit. And so all the preparations had to be done. And when we were lined up, again, this guy used to come and look at our dress. And if our dress was bad, he would just tell the commanding officer, and you know what happens after that. So be prepared for some beautiful language. And then you had parades. So we had a lot of practices during parades for the passing out parade. There again it was the same thing. We had to keep our dress tuck always. So it became a habit with us. The more you do something, it becomes a habit, and then it isn't all that difficult to maintain that standard. It's like telling youngsters today, come on, get up at 5 in the morning. They say, what? Don't be crazy. And if at all they have to get up to catch a flight, they'll be groggy the whole day. But trust me, 3 days you get up at 5 o'clock. The fourth day you'll automatically get up. Just try it. It's just that you want to change your body clock. It's tough initially, but it works. It just needs the right attitude. So, what's the activity? Look at yourself in the mirror. Do you like the way you're dressed? Are you smart enough? Make an honest self appraisal and see how you can improve it. And take help from your parents and friends. You've got to, in fact, in today's world, you've got to stand out. You've got to be noticed because it's such a competitive world. So you have to be well turned out. So the action points are that looking sharp helps a lot. First impression makes a lasting impression, and good grooming certainly adds to your confidence. I'm not asking you to spend hours on grooming and go to the saloon and spend 2 hours there. No, I'm just asking you to be smart and well dressed. Dressed. That's it. Okay, so we have another. Uh, yeah. So this is done. Yeah, this is a very important lesson that I learned. Whatever makes you afraid is something you must do first. I'm sure you know that the army makes soldiers out of us, or rather, the academy. So whatever we need to learn to okay, what is bravery or what is courage? Courage is doing something in spite of fear. So how do you do things in spite of fear? Because you know that there's a higher purpose. And in the academy, you may or may not know the higher purpose, but certainly once you are commissioned and you become an officer, then you understand the purpose. And then automatically the courage comes. But during the training, let me tell you, the NDA is an inter-services training unit, and I had friends who later on became fighter pilots, and they piloted planes which were traveling at maybe 2,000 kilometers an hour. Okay, but when they stood on the top of the 10-meter board in the swimming pool, their legs would start shaking and they started looking down. But then you have to jump, you don't have a choice. So that was one place where the ustad used to come and give us a gentle push, and there we jumped. So the first jump was not so good, and then they used to keep making us jump the whole day. There was one cadet who jumped from morning to evening. He must have done at least 400 jumps that day. 400 jumps. And then he became an expert at it. You see, all these martial arts, how do you become an expert? You keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it. Similarly, anything that makes you scared, keep doing it. It won't make you scared anyway after some time. Okay. Another thing that used to make us scared those days was horse riding. And the horse riding test was the toughest because you didn't have a saddle or a bridle. You were just plain on the horse, and the horse would run, and you had to hold on to the horse for dear life. And you had to keep your balance. And it's not easy, mind you. But we had to do it. And if you show that you're scared, the horse is going to buck and throw you out. Remember that. So you can't afford to be scared on the horse. Okay, that's how we conquered our fear. And the third place where we used to get scared was the boxing ring. And there, well, a couple of punches, and then we had to punch back. We didn't have a choice because you can't keep allowing somebody to punch you. So that's the way we learned how to face it. So same thing is on the para jumps. When paratroopers go, it's very easy to do it on the ground. But the moment you're in the air, it's a totally different ballgame. See these bungee jumpers. They just jump, they run and jump because they've conquered fear. So, what's the activity? Write down one thing that makes you afraid, and have you thought why it makes you afraid? You can always then understand how you can conquer that fear. So, what are the action points here? Fear is to be feared, nothing else is to be feared. Courage is doing that thing in spite of being afraid. And the more you do something that you are afraid of, the less afraid you become of that thing. It's as simple as that. Okay, let me go to the next. That's done. This is the last lesson which I'm going to share with you. Never ever give up. So this is again something that we taught कि जीत उसी की है जिसने मानी नहीं हार. Okay, a person who doesn't give up is someone who ultimately wins. And if you lose a battle, lose it, but don't lose the war. Okay, if you lose a battle, lose it to win the war. So, and let me tell you a story. In the units, we had somebody called the company Subedar. A company is made of about 400 men, and there's a JCO, a junior commissioned officer, who is the rank of a Subedar, who is the senior most among all the men. And he then comes and gives the report to the to the company commander. So when he gives the report to the company commander in the night, so the orders are given for the next day. And once we give the orders for the next day to the Subedar, we know it is done, because the Subedar will never ever disobey, and whatever happens, he will complete the task. We're so sure about it. And so we got actually spoiled. And the moment I shifted to civis, I was like, it was a culture shock. Because in the company, if I tell my junior something, I expect it to be done. But then I realized that I have to now coax him and tell him 2, 3 times, please do it, please do it, please do it. And he'll do it as if he's doing a favor to you. So it was very different from what we used to do in the units. Okay. So there's another story about not giving up. We have an exercise in the second term of the Indian Military Academy, and we have to climb a mountain as tall as Masuri, or a little higher than that. It's called Bhadraj. So you all have heard of Masuri. We were in the plains, I mean in the valley, the Doon Valley. And if you go by road from Dehradun to Masuri, it takes less than an hour or maybe an hour, depends on the traffic. But remember, it's a good height climb of about 6,000 feet. But then when we have to walk it, and walk it in our boots, and walk it, heavy boots, mind you, and walk it with our big packs and our rifle, then it's totally different. And again, you walk in when it has just rained in the month of November, when it's pretty cold, and the ground is slushy and slippery, and you can't use the road. You have to use beaten tracks to climb up the hill. It's not easy. So we were told, we were given lunch at about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and we were told, Chalo, your next point is up on the hill, and you'll get your dinner there. We were given the map. It looked very small and simple to us, but we didn't realize it was 6,000 feet. Almost a vertical climb. And we were told, Khana upar milega. That was the motivation. So we expected to reach there by 9 o'clock in about 8 hours. About 8 hours. But every step we took, we realized we were coming down, because we had nothing to hold on to also. Somehow, one guy picked up and found a way, and we got after him. And can you believe what time we reached the top? No, it wasn't 9 p.m. at all. It was 2 a.m. Raat ke 2 baje. So we had dinner at 2 a.m. and we went to sleep. And the next morning when we got up, we saw, my God, where have we reached? We couldn't imagine, and the path that we were walking on was so narrow. Had we just fallen on the other side, nobody would have been able to recover us. So that taught us how to get tough and how never to give up. There are no ifs and buts in the army, remember. When an order is given, it's to be done. That's it. You got to do it somehow. How you do it is your problem. So the activity, remember the number of times you've done a difficult task and given up halfway. So how did you feel at the lost opportunity? I'm sure you felt very bad about it. So would you like to try and do it again if you had the option? And the action points here are: the road does not end at a bend. The only way to lose is to give up. And there is always another chance to win for those who feel they can. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep perfecting, and keep winning. That's the mantra. Uh, so with this, I'll wind up and tell you all that there are many, many more lessons, but I think I've done enough. I've spent about 40 minutes with you people today. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and the the moral of the story here is that the only way to improve yourself is by going through fire. So that is what made us into soldiers. And we are very, very fortunate that we were in the academy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Venkat Raman, for that excellent talk on your experience in the army. And I guess that is what makes the character of all the officers in the army, the initial things. Of course, much more remains, which you learn later on. But these are excellent lessons early on in life. Reminds me of our own residential public schools. And we have a very similar routine, only it's not so much on reaching places in time, etc., etc. But yeah, you have to reach your eating place in time, you have to reach your classes in time, in the evening you have to play your games in time, and you have to perform basically. So, thank you so much for that.
Thank
And
you.
there's a question, sir.
Tell me.
What are the values for student teachers and educators from what you said? You did explain the whole thing to us, but what would these be?
So, in short, I would like to say that teachers are the creators of tomorrow's citizens. On them, there is a great responsibility to bring up this generation. And certainly, the only way teachers can really inculcate values in children is by personal example. I think teachers should also lead from the front and not just teach, but do and practice what they preach. I think that is very important because today's kids are very smart. They are keenly observing you. They are no longer the kind that we were, who blindly obeyed at everything that was told to us. So, as teachers, I think we need to set a personal example.
Thank you, sir. And good evening, everybody. And before we leave, I request you to watch our detox from our disruptive literacy movement, My Global Dream, which is an initiative by Dr. Sunita Gandhi since 2014. The whole idea is to ensure everyone's participation and a people's movement in ensuring literacy and numeracy for all our brothers and sisters, especially the ones who are less privileged than us. Each one teach one, to ensure that at least one person, because of you, becomes literate and knows the numeracy. And in this, we have several talks every day. And for more information, please go to 740-840-1000. Thank you, sir. Good evening. Goodbye. Excellent session, sir. And
Thank you.
we look forward to having you once again with us.
Certainly. Certainly, it will be
So,
my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good day.
yeah. Good evening, everybody. Good night. Goodbye.